give only to the market or to the government. We have to have the adequate blend on this strategy, on this dilemma. And Latin America is finding the path, finally, after decades. And Latin America grew at rates of 6% as a region in these last 10 years, which had never happened before. So we are back to growth. And we learned that democracy works and that market economy works, and that is the foundation where you build a successful economy. And a successful economy is clear, is going to give you wealth, but you need powerful social public policies to make sure that the opportunities are equal to everybody, just like the founding fathers of this nation stated. But you have to work on that side of the equation. And then you nourish both of these resources, a successful economy and powerful social policies to build human capital through education, through health, through housing, and direct combat to poverty. And so that's the path where we are in Latin America. But I mentioned that we are young democracies. We have not yet consolidated because it's pretty difficult to found a democracy, the principles and values of freedom, the market economy, on poverty and ignorance. When you don't have a middle class, when you don't have an average, well-educated society, illustrated society through education, it's pretty difficult to consolidate your democracy. And it's when these messianic leaders appear. And let me state in advance that I don't have anything against social democrats or Democrats here in the States in front of Republicans. And that I don't have anything against Republicans or center-right ideology parties. What I'm against, and I think is not working and will not work, is these messianic leaders only looking for power for themselves, looking to control society and citizens, and planning through changes in the Constitution to become dictators again. So we're back to where we were in last century with the Hugo Chávezes, with the Evo Morales, with the Correas, and else, the Ortegas in Nicaragua. It's spreading. The urgency to build up middle classes in Latin America, it's a must. And we have pretty good examples of how we are advancing in this direction, starting with Chile, which has done miracles with democracy, freedom, and market economy. And they have been able to reduce poverty, distribute income, and increase purchasing power and quality of life to the citizens. And there's another two engines that now we're moving ahead, which is Mexico, which is Brazil. Mexico run by center ideology, center humanistic ideology, like my party, like Presidente Calderón's party, and President Lula in Brazil, a socialist, but a very intelligent, wise socialist that is using market strategies to be able to generate wealth, and is making sure that through his social commitment is bringing in improvement, especially to the poor in Brazil. When all of this is happening, not only those messianic leaders appear, but now we have this mammoth financial crisis generated and grown here in this great nation. And this nation is so great that that crisis immediately expanded and went through all the economies of the world. And we are all hit the same. So we need the leader to repair part of the problems that it has here within on its own economy. And we need to work all together to overcome this crisis which we're undergoing right now. Because if this nation can afford to go through this crisis without social despair or without even a rebellion on the streets, because the wealth and the savings and the resources that this nation has, not all the rest of us have the same. So we run a double risk, not only losing what we have attained in these last 10 years, but also on facing possible social problems and violence. So we need to work fast, and I know the whole world is working with total commitment and trying to come up with the solutions as soon as possible. There's a lot of talent in this world, and I'm sure a lot of great ideas will come. But the leader has to be back on its feet. And one thing I'm surprised of, being part of this nation, loving this nation as you do, is the building of a wall. I mean, how can we explain to ourselves why the leader builds a wall? Because walls are to isolate yourself. So the question is, what is the fear? And of course, one explanation is in September the 11th, that terrible date that should never, ever repeat again. Fear. Those of us who come from abroad, we sense that after September the 11th. But there is also xenophobia. There is also this Minutemen, and there is this fundamental decision of building a wall, understanding that walls don't work. Like the Berlin Wall didn't work, like the Chinese Wall didn't work. And still that wall is being built when we're partners, when we're friends, when we're neighbors, Mexico and United States. How come are we partners and partners for prosperity? Because we decided to do so, because we committed with NAFTA. And some are not paying that strong attention to that big driving idea of NAFTA. Today, NAFTA is stagnant, it's dormant. We're not moving with the dynamics that it requires. Because no nation by itself today can accomplish its dreams and its objectives if it's not working with others. Now we all depend from others. That's why NAFTA is such a strong and wonderful tool that we must keep going through a new vision. And so we have to shake up things and come back to the principles of open markets, the principles of globalization. Because here I see people from different nations. And where did we learn? From whom did we learn to open our markets? And we were very hesitant to open our markets for the Coca-Colas, for the Hewlett-Packards, for the Fords, for else and else, thinking that we would be losing our jobs, that we would not be able to create the jobs. But we were told that trading is a key win-win tool for those who trade. So we open our economies. And when we open our economies,